Down goes Gator, is now Seaking versus the Wild. The opponent sends back out Tapu Fini, gonna fire off the Nature's Madness. Seaking withstands the damage, gonna be able to get the full Poison Jab farm down Cobalion, gonna be one double kick off the move, so we throw one Poison Jab and the Drill Run, but is Drill Run enough to knock out? Well, you're gonna have to watch the video to find out, so welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing things somewhat different around here. I'd usually be showcasing a triple Shadow team. However, as Niantic haven't given us a new Team Rocket takeover, I have no new toys to play with. Not only do I love Shadow Pokemon, I've got somewhat of an acquired taste for some spice. That's quite literal as well. I love a hot curry, but that's a different matter. So what we're doing today is we're powering up PVPOKES 208th rank pick all the way to level 50, and I invested 3 Elite TMs into Seaking to give it its legacy moveset of Poison Jab, Icy Wind and Drill Run. Today we're going to run an ABB team. We're going to be using Shadow Gliscor in the lead as our anti-grass and anti-electric with double water in the back. Gator, of course, a top meta threat, will be operating as the closer, and Seaking will be operating as a safe switch. Of course, Seaking running Poison Jab, going to be able to hit them grass types back for super effective, and Drill Run will hit any potential electric type. So without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game 1, we see the Shadow Gliscor mirror. As I'm running an ABB team, I'm going to want to pivot at some stage. We tank the first move, farm up, look to catch the second onto our safe switch, and let's see if the opponent has any potential grass or electric type. The opponent stays in. I'm very mindful the opponent might look to catch the Icy Wind, and they do. Out comes Poliwrath, and we're going to hit him with a Drill Run. Drill Run, quite an underwhelming move from Seaking. To be honest, all 3 of these moves do not get stab, and they're all pretty mediocre at best. However, despite it not having that boom potential, it is somewhat of a Swiss Army knife. Having poison, ice and ground coverage is really nice. We get Poliwrath incredibly low. The opponent likely going to blind throw the Icy Wind, so we send out Gator. You can instantly see why I haven't played in a week. We get denied, and that deny is actually pretty brutal because you're going to see they're going to make the last second Icy Wind. We shouldn't have to tank this damage, but it is what it is. We're now stuck with a 2-stage debuff, so I'm likely going to have to pivot to reset that debuff. I bank the Hydro Cannon, send out Gliscor into Annihilape. The opponent attempts to catch an Earthquake onto their own Gliscor. We fire off the Night Slash. Of course, I'm going to start investing shields here. The opponent will be energy dry after this. Interestingly enough, the opponent's actually running Night Slash Aerial Ace. I would not recommend running a ground type with no ground type coverage. Although we've got distracted, we get the boost. You know what time it is. We fire off the next Night Slash, securing the knockout back out. Comes Annihilape. I'm going straight for the Night Slash. Night Slash hits for neutral, gets the opponent down to around a third health. The opponent gets a full counter farm down, and we find ourselves in the bait game. Of course, my Gahona's absolutely massive. I gave the opportunity for the opponent to throw the Shadow Ball. They did not, so we're going to shield up the next Night Slash, Shadow Claw farm down, and we're off to a 1-0 start. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Poliwrath in the lead. We're going to throw 7 wing attacks, look to catch the Icy Wind onto Seaking, banking our energy. The opponent falls for my trap, throw the Icy Wind. The opponent going to look to rebank some energy before likely pivoting. To my surprise, the opponent continued to stay in, so we're going to fire off the Drill Run before we get too low. Drill Run, 1-stage debuff, does even more pathetic damage than the first battle. The opponent returns the favour, making a very nice catch onto Skunk Tank, and I immediately think this might be my own team of Poliwrath Double Dark Poison. If the opponent commits to the full Poison Jab farm down, we will reach Drill Run. In fairness, Drill Run debuffed wouldn't knock out, so I'm quite grateful the opponent does dump energy. Of course, we're going to send back out Gliscor here, look to throw the Earthquake, one before the next crunch. We get a huge amount of stutter lag. I look to fire off one before, and it looks like I fire off on CMP. Niantic, please fix this game. It actually wasn't even CMP. I just got denied or just stuttered. It is what it is. We're not even going to get into how crappy this game's running. I'm spamming the switch into Gator, and I was unable to bait out the electric type, and things are looking absolutely dire. However, Gator isn't actually too bad into Ampharos. The Shadow Claws hit for neutral and Hydro Cannon is one of the very finest moves in the game, and Ampharos is quite classy being a non-XL pick. The opponent here is completely energy dry. So to give myself an opportunity to win this battle, I need to throw 5 Shadow Claws and the Hydro Cannon to a point where I am doubled up. The only win con would be the opponent opting to let Ampharos go down, send back out Poliwrath. Hydro Cannon would force the Protect Shield, then we've got an IV dependent CMP on the Night Slash. The opponent saved their Protect Shield, and that was just GG, so I am going to concede the match. But despite me getting tilted, there was a slight chance of a win con, although unlikely. In the next battle, we see Giratina in the lead. The entire team's pretty neutral into Giratina. Seaking even has that Icy Wind coverage. We're going to fire off the Night Slash, then look to catch the next Dragon Claw onto Seaking, and we're going to look to try and bait out that potential Grass or Electric type. The opponent throws the Dragon Claw, and out comes Poliwrath once again. Although we haven't managed to bait out an Electric or a Grass type Gator, not a huge fan of Poliwrath either, as the stab counters do tear through Shadow Gator, as it isn't particularly bulky, even in Ultra League. Seaking actually does reasonably alright in this matchup, as the opponent can only hit us for resisted with the charge moves, whereas we can at least hit for neutral with the drill run. This is a losing matchup, but you can see we do get Poliwrath incredibly low. Once again, the opponent does exit with a charge move, so we're going to send back out Gator, anticipating the blind Icy Wind throw. This time we do get the Shadow Claw through. Can you believe it? The game working as intended. I never thought I'd see the day. As we're only one stage debuffed, Giratina is certainly in Ice Beam range from Gator, especially with the residual Shadow Claws. They're on a 5 cycle, so I'm going to throw the Ice Beam. If the opponent shields, I'm going to instantly pivot into Gliscor. The opponent chooses to let it go, send out Greedent, and we spam the switch back into Gliscor, finally resetting that debuff. Greedent is like my nemesis in the Ultra League. This thing is so fucking bulky, so spammy, and so annoying. I've got so much energy. We're going for that cheeky masturbating session. Jamie Finn, evidently the best masturbator in the world. The game agrees. The RNG gods say you can be rewarded. Get in the boost. Again, we're going to farm up. Look to kill yet another poor defenseless cat. I'm sorry. I love cats. I've even got a cat. It's called Pixie for those of you interested. But we are double baiting this opponent, and Gliscor is about to close strong. We shield at the next body slam. Throw 4 wing attacks. Throw the Earthquake on the CMP side. It's going to be high Greedent, buy Greedent. Get that stupid squirrel off my screen. And we take that game. In the next battle, we see yet another Poliwrath. Holy cow, is that like every battle or something? We do the same thing. Attempt to catch an Icy Wind onto Seaking. The opponent doesn't throw. Opt to throw the Scald instead. I don't believe we got debuffed. The opponent then tries their luck catching the drill run onto Giratina. I hold my energy, fire off the Icy Wind, and you're going to see it doesn't do too much whatsoever. Despite not doing too much damage, it does apply that debuff effect, so we are going to get to one more Icy Wind, forcing a double debuff onto this Giratina's defense. It could put this thing into range where I could farm down with either Pokemon. The opponent gets the full Shadow Claw farm down. They do have a charge move bank. The opponent actually opts not to throw. Despite being 2-stage debuff, I don't particularly want to play any silly games finding out if they're running Shadow Force. Again, we get the boost, but despite this, I'm unwilling to shield, so we are going to catch the Icy Wind onto Gator. I don't particularly like being Gator in this matchup, but of course Poliwrath is severely chipped by the wing attacks and the poison jabs that previously took, so this is very manageable. The opponent actually is starting to shield Poliwrath, and I'm now scratching my head thinking what the heck is in the back. I am going to match shields. I would survive this Icy Wind, but I don't want to get too low. I'm going to continue to farm up. The opponent finally pivot out into Swampert, but switch timers are heavily misaligned. I fire off the Hydro Cannon. I really want that switch timer to pop up. I opt to throw the next one just to stall the clock. Hydro Cannon does bring up my switch clock. We go for that wham bam combo play, pivot out into Gliscor, looking for the Big Mac and the fries. The opponent invests that final Protect Shield, then they throw on the CMP. Hydro Cannon, despite being super effective, isn't going to knock out, so that is an easy no shield from me. This Night Slash will secure the knockout. Poliwrath does have a move bank, which they're going to throw now. And I'm deciding, fuck it. We're just going to shield this up and look for a fast move beatdown. The combination of wing attacks and Shadow Claws should be enough to take this game. The opponent recognised that and concede the match. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Tapu Fini in the lead. This is going to be the one lead. Well, actually, all fairies, in fairness, are going to be the only time I'm actually going to pivot into Gator rather than Seaking, as Seaking would be my hard check. We managed to bait out Virizion. Gator, much like Seaking, has that Ice Beam coverage. We land the beam. We can actually survive a Leaf Blade. It does like 70%. I'm actually just going to double shield, Shadow Claw farm all the way down. I don't often go down to Protect Shield, but it is what it is. We know Gator hits incredibly hard and likely starts forcing Protect Shields back. Back out comes Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini, not a huge fan of the Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon spam. This next Hydro Cannon is going to get him down to around a third health. The opponent banks a boatload of energy, then send out Cobalion. Switch timer is going to be popping up, so we're going to fire off the Hydro Cannon, forcing a Protect Shield, attempt to catch a Sacred Sword onto Gliscor. The opponent reads me like a book, hold their energy, which is going to allow them to fire off the Stone Edge. My Gliscor is non-XL, and 2 Stone Edges actually do knock out. I maximise my energy before throwing the Earthquake just before the next Stone Edge, and the opponent now finds himself all shields down. Stone Edge easily going to knock out. The opponent has actually overfarmed as well. They're only one double kick off the next charge move. I've got a tough decision to make. I'm actually just going to sack Gator, putting it all on Seaking because I invested 3 Elite TMs, 20 Rare XL Candy, and a lot of fucking Stardust into it. The opponent makes a huge mistake, giving up Switch, sending back out Tapu Fini. Nature's Madness simply isn't going to get the job done. We get the full Poison Jab farm down there, one double kick off the charge move. We throw one Poison Jab, and the Drill Run is drawn enough to knock out. Yes, it is. Get that Cobalion off my screen, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Annihilape in the lead. The opponent say switches into Typhlosion. Typhlosion actually paces at the same speed as Gator. We're going to shield the first Thunder Punch. We're then going to overfarm before firing off the Hydro Cannon. The opponent can win this in the 2 shield. So what I'm going to look to do is play the 1 shield. If the opponent gives me both Protect Shields, I'm going to be very happy with Gator's contribution. We get both Protect Shields. At this stage, trainer, enjoy yourself. You can have my Gator. We've put this thing into a range where we are going to be able to Poison Jab farm down. And we're going to just save a shield for Gliscor, hoping to sweep the back line. I'm going to send out Seaking. The opponent banks a boatload of energy, then give up Switch, sending out Poliwrath. And I think that gives me a pretty clear path to victory. Typhlosion has exited at 80 energy. So what we're going to do here is we're going to absorb all this energy. When Poliwrath is in a range where I can wing attack farm them down before the opponent reaches the Icy Wind, we're going to pivot into Gliscor, getting even more energy together. This was the point where I thought, should I pivot or will I not be able to wing attack farm down? I actually think we're just going to sack Seaking. The opponent throws the Icy Wind, go for an undercharge, which allows me to save Seaking as the 3rd shield. We get the wing attack farm down, leave with the Night Slash. I'm looking top right. If Typhlosion comes in, I'm going to play to the CMP side. I know I lose this, but the opponent only is going to get one opportunity to throw the Blast Burn and actually go for the Thunder Punch bait, which is pretty pointless to be honest, as they're not going to be able to get off the next move. Night Slash secures the knockout, back out, comes Annihilape, and the opponent is going to concede the match. In the next battle, we see the basic bitch, Giratina. So again, we're going to stay in, go for some chip and dip, and eventually pivot into our Seaking. So you're going to see throughout this video, there's quite a long showcase. I play a lot of matchups the same every single time. So we always tank the first Dragon Claw, fire off the Night Slash, look to catch the second onto Seaking, and we do that successfully, as this opponent is an insta-throw and Andy, as my friend King GBL would say. My Seaking saves, which is met by Nidoqueen. Holy crap, I've not seen one of these things in forever in Ultra League. Pretty spicy, and I don't think it has all that many positive matchups. Both Drill Run and Icy Wind hit for super effective. Drill Run does do more raw damage, but essentially I'm just horny for the debuff. If I wanted to try and force switch, I would go for the Drill Run here, but I actually just want more energy. On Gliscor, a switch advantage isn't all that important, as both Giratina is going to take neutral, or at least is neutral, into Gliscor and Gator respectively. Unless this Nidoqueen's on Stone Edge, we completely wall the energy. They actually fire off the Poison Fang, and out comes Talonflame. I think I should definitely instantly pivot here, because we've got a lower defense. That Incinerate does far too much damage. Although one Hydro Cannon isn't lethal, the Shadow Claws certainly put it into range, so I think that's a bit of a poor play on my part. As I've got 2 Protect Shields, we are going to start investing them here. The opponent fires off the fly, send back out Giratina, we full send the Ice Beam goes unshielded, just Talonflame does return. Gator, so spammy, we fire off 2 Shadow Claws and the Hydro Cannon for optimal fast move timing, although in fairness, I did that multiple times in battles you're not going to see, and the opponent got 6 free turns, but let's not get into that. We fire off the next Hydro Cannon just before the opponent reaches the fly. We then pivot out, go for the wham bam combo play, fire off the Night Slash, and Gliscor is a Talonflame counter confirmed. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle this time, we see the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death in the lead. I always throw 7 wing attacks and then look to catch onto Seaking. In this matchup, the opponent's always going to throw the Flame Charge first, as regardless if you go Flame Charge or Fly first, it's always 3, 2, then 2. So there's no reason for them not to boost their attack. So I think that's a pretty easy catch. My Seaking Say Switch is met by Cresselia. Cresselia does have access to Grass Knot, so it's nice to bait this thing out so Gator doesn't have to see it. This is where you're going to see how underwhelming Seaking can be. In these matchups against the real bulky Pokemon, it really does not output much damage. 2 Icy Winds and the Poison Jabs just about get them down to half health. We fire off the next Icy Wind on what looks like to be a CMP type, but actually game bad, and we actually deny the opponent. As we've applied 2 debuffs to this Cresselia, its attack is now very much non-existent. Not that they had much attack anyway, they're forced to throw. The opponent actually give up switch, sending back out Talonflame. We're just going to tank whatever they throw again. They go for the flame charge, and we're going to pivot into Gator. Gator, of course, is going to start having to invest protect shields. We fire off the Hydro Cannon, force a protect shield. The opponent is boosted, so I am going to have to shield in return. Unfortunately, we're going to be unable to Shadow Claw farm down, as they're only one Incinerate off the next move, so I am forced to throw. The opponent actually chooses to invest their final protect shield, wanting to get me all shields down. We are going to play that game, shield the next fly, and commit to the Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent actually give up switch, sending back out Cresselia. I'll be honest, I got so bored in that mid-game matchup. I wasn't counting, so I just opted to throw the Hydro Cannon, getting rid of it. The opponent pivot out into Umbreon. We pivot out into Gliscor, throw the Earthquake on the CMP side. Holy cow, I've never seen such an underwhelming Earthquake in my life. Umbreon so thick. The opponent gets the Snarl farm down. Hydro Cannon, one of the very best moves in the game, but Umbreon able to absorb a Shadow, stab Hydro Cannon and a stab Earthquake, and we are going to lose this game to a very boring, bulky team. Ah man, it is what it is. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Gliscor in the lead. You've seen me play this one out a few times. We always tank the first move and then look to catch the second. The opponent farming up a boatload of energies. We're going to take the initiative, throw the Night Slash first. We get the boost, so we're actually going to stay in and look to force a shield. The opponent returns fire with their own Night Slash, which of course we can tank. However, the opponent cannot tank this particularly comfortably. Force a protect shield and then pivot into Seaking. I think quite a common mistake I see trainers make is when they get a boost, they start investing protect shields left, right and centre. However, I'm sticking to the game plan. I'm on an ABB team, so we're pivoting despite any boost. We managed to draw out a lowland Sandslash, so Drill Run comes in, very nice. We land the first, the opponent then plays to the CMP side, they do not win. Seaking has around 159 attacks, so it's pretty similar to Swampert. Shout out to Home Size Henry for his quote as always. We managed to force the opponent's final protect shield. I'm going to come in with Gator, hopefully one shield and Shadow Claw farm down. If the opponent Ice Punch bait me, I might be forced to throw on the CMP. The opponent actually falls on the Drill Run, then pivot out into their own Shadow Gator. Shadow and Shadow Crime. 2 resisted Hydro Cannons are enough to knock out in this matchup with the residual Shadow Claws. An argument could be made here that this resisted Hydro Cannon is the hardest move left in the game, as it does hit harder than an Aerial Ace or Night Slash, as Aerial Ace is a shit move. But regardless, we do tank it. The opponent trying to call off the switch timer, but it won't be up yet. So if they send back out Gliscor, which they do, I'm just going to shield this up and look to throw the Hydro Cannon instantly. We shield up the Night Slash, return fire with the Hydro Cannon. We could Shadow Claw farm down Sandslash, but we also are going to outpace with Gliscor. So I spam the switch, send out Gliscor, reach the Night Slash, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see some Shadow on Shadow Crime, the oppressive Shadow Dragonite in the lead. Whenever I play this matchup, I'm really worried the opponent will catch the Night Slash if I go for it straight away. At least that's how I play Dragonite, as it's really glassy and you kind of try and catch charge moves. The opponent actually tank the damage. We are going to shield in return, and then we're going to look to catch the next Dragon Claw onto Seaking. The opponent actually gives up switch, sending out Tapu Fini, and here comes Seaking. You can definitely tell the difference between Seaking's non-stab poison jab and channel favourite Skunk Tank. Skunk Tank eats this thing alive, whereas Seaking doesn't really do the same. Drill Run also doesn't do too much damage. However, we are going to be able to play to the CMP and knock this thing out or force our shield back. The opponent just let Tapu Fini go down. Dragonite able to Dragon Breath farm us down, and we now find ourselves in somewhat of a tricky situation. We send out Gator. The opponent is going to go for the hard hit and Superpower, but I can't go down 2 protection. Superpower rocks us incredibly low. Out comes Skeledirge. We're going to fire off the first Hydro Cannon. We just need to force both shields off the opponent. You're going to see here I throw out really poor timing. However, you can see the Incinerate didn't hit me when it should have, so we actually got some stutter lag. But regardless, we're going to pivot out into Gliscor, reach the Earthquake before the opponent doubles up, and we're going to take that game. GG's to that opponent. So the fast move time in 2 turn into 5 turn. Of course, you want to throw after 2 or 7 ideally, or 4. When I threw that second Hydro Cannon, I only threw after 3, which should have given away 4 free turns, but it looked like 3 or 2 as the Incinerate kind of only hit us halfly. I don't know. In the next battle, we see Empoleon in the lead. I tried to catch a Hydro Cannon onto Seaking. The opponent hold their energy, chip me with a Drill Peck, and then send out Dragon Breath Giratina. We land the first Icy Wind We tank the Dragon Claw, we are going to be able to get off the second Icy Wind, but we already know it's going to come nowhere near knocking out, but it does give us that very nice 2-stage debuff to their attack. Of course, they've got Empoleon in the lead, so we need to come in with Gliscor, and we need to get a massive wing attack farm down and get the Earthquake ready for that Penguin and see how big the opponent's Cojones are. I think in fairness, Empoleon probably going to shield, but we're going to YOLO the nuke anyway, and heartbreakingly this Giratina actually gets off yet another Dragon Claw. And that gets me very low. Oof, that's rough. Out comes a Penguin. Does the opponent respect the damage? Of course they do. We then manage to make a catch of a Hydro Cannon onto Gator. However, we are rapidly running out of HP on all our Pokemon. Out comes Tentacruel. We throw 7 Shadow Claws and the Hydro Cannon. So this is going to be CMP to an Acid Spray. Acid Spray is worst case scenario. I think this game is certainly over. But we've got 2 shields, so we're going to try and play it out because we need some practice as we are very rusty. We really need this Hydro Cannon to knock out, but it simply just isn't going to get the job. Of course, the opponent is going to Acid Spray, but what choice do I have other than to shield? Wincon is going to be hoping the opponent tries to shield flex. Back out comes the Penguin. Is the opponent looking for that shield flex? They are not. They shield at the Earthquake. We get Steel Wing farm down, and we take a loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Zygarde. This thing is also very annoying, much like Greedent. This is where you're going to see the difference in stat product. Of course, they're not a dark type, but that Crunch does a fair amount of damage, and of course they get the debuff. There's no point throwing a Night Slash as this thing's insanely bulky. We YOLO the Earthquake to my surprise, force a Protect Shield. We send out Seaking, and the opponent responds with Tapu Fini. Trainer, are you alright? Sending out a Fairy into a Poison Jab user is a very questionable decision. With that in mind, I am going to shield up the Nature's Madness, as I know, even though these Poison Jabs are non-stab, we are going to be able to Poison Jab them down before they reach next Nature's Madness. This is only a Surf, but debuffed Surf is going to do a fair amount, as Seaking is quite classy. His stat product's like 3700 despite being level 50. If Zygarde returns, I'm going to throw 1 Poison Jab and the Icy Wind. The opponent now has a Crunch. We're going to try and play to the CMP ties. We would win that. The opponent actually take the extra, but it is what it is. We're going to get to land the Icy Wind, which is double super effective and still doesn't do all that much damage. And now it becomes apparent why they sent out their Fairy into my Poison Jab user, as they're running a very strange double Fairy team. The opponent builds to their Poliwrath. I'm thinking it's probably Overheat, Brutal Swing. However, they actually do hit me with a Poliwrath, but we do withstand the damage. We're just going to get this thing out of here as soon as possible. We are going to reach a Hydro Cannon before the opponent doubles up on Crunches. The opponent does try for that double up. They don't get there, and Gator is going to sweep the back line. GG's, and thanks for playing. And Zygarde get wrecked. In the next battle, we see Tapu Fini in the lead. So as I said previously, Fairy leads, we say switch into Gator rather than a hard check of Seaking. We're going to take the initiative, throw the Hydro Cannon, which worst case scenario puts them into Earthquake range for later. The opponent stays in to chip me with a Nature's Madness. We can tank 1. The opponent fires off the Nature's Madness, then send out Giratina, as evidently they haven't got a great response. I think here you should always go straight Ice Beam, as you'd be unable to bait and reach the Ice Beam. Not that I like to bait particularly much. Ice Beam goes unshielded. We come in instantly as switch timers are misaligned. Depending on how much farm we get, we're either going to YOLO the Earthquake at Tapu Fini if we leave near it, or we're just going to pivot into Seaking while they're still switch locked. You can see we get almost a perfect farm down. We leave 1 wing attack off the Earthquake, so we're just going to YOLO it and see what the opponent wants to do. We're going for that kill shot, Earthquake, force of the protection. We pivot into Seaking. The opponent stays in, so likely they're still switch locked or they have no response. They didn't have a response for Gator, so Seaking kind of does the same job. We shield up the Nature's Madness, and out comes Skeledirge. Draw on again, going to be advantageous. It hits a super effective. It doesn't do all that much damage, but it does 2 shot. With that in mind, I said I don't bait often, but this is a very safe bait, as it's the only remaining healthy Pokemon. So we take the initiative to lower their attack, and now we're going to look to call the bait. However, we get nuked. Fuck. It's now all down to Gliscor to clean up. I think the opponent makes a huge mistake here throwing. I think they should have went for the fast move beatdown, as this now gives me the opportunity to throw 4 wing attacks and the Night Slash. So we're not going to take that next Incinerate, and it's going to be a race. Can the opponent Water Gun farm me down before I reach the Night Slash? Gliscor says no, holds strong, reaches the Night Slash, and is a Tapu Fini counter confirmed. You heard it here first. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Cresselia in the lead. This is sort of where we want to see it, to be honest. I think here as well, you should probably go Night Slash instantly, fishing for that boost, rather than over farming. But it is what it is. We're going to fire off the next Night Slash. Night Slash goes unshielded, and speaking of the boost, there it is. If you're wondering why I'm getting so many boosts, my religion is praying to them RNG gods daily. Also, on a side note, the opponent should never shield the first move, especially when they're so bulky, as Night Slash doesn't do much, and of course you have the chance to boost, so if I boost, which I did, the next Night Slash would do more damage. We're about to see another example of where game is bad. We get one turn stutter lag, and the opponent gets new mechanic as well, which is fantastic on both fronts. So now we're forced to go down a Protect Shield, and out comes Poliwrath. Things aren't looking fantastic, but we do have an energy lead. We're able to fire off 2 Hydro Cannons before the opponent inevitably debuffs me. We get Poliwrath down into the yellow. We're going to tank one further Icy Wind. I'm then going to look to bank a Hydro Cannon, knowing Gator often wins CMP, and pivot out into Seaking. My Seaking is met by Sylveon. You can see the charm hit me there, so poor timing on my part, but this game is still signed, sealed and delivered. Both Seaking and Gator win CMP against Poliwrath. We've got a Hydro Cannon bank, so all I've got to do is Poison Jab farm this all the way down, throw the drill on. If the opponent shields, they're going to lose CMP. Back out comes Poliwrath. They quickly learn they lose CMP. They recognise we got moves banked here, there and every fucking where, and they concede the match. In the next battle, we see Tapu Koko in the lead. This is really scary for our backline. And of course, we need to go all the way up for an Earthquake and try and land it. However, Tapu Koko is insanely glassy. I think logically you're going to bait him here. However, I'm built different. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Get that Tapu Koko off my screen. The opponent's like, fuck this game, and they're going to concede the match. In the next battle, we see Skeledirge in the lead. Of course, Earthquake would one-shot, but the whole team's kind of neutral, and we're on an ABB, so we look to pivot, attempting to catch a charge move unsuccessfully. The opponent banks 8 energy and then send out Shadow Poliwrath. Unlike the regular variant, the Poison Jabs and Drill Run do quite a lot of damage, but likewise we take more damage in return. Speaking of which, you're going to see that Skull didn't look resistive. We're going to reach one further Drill Run. Is this Drill Run enough to knock out? Oof, no it's not. We soft lose the 0 shield, but I'm pretty happy with that. We send back out Gliscor, get the wing attack farm down. I said previously that I don't like baiting. Skeledirge has 80 energy. They throw one further at that 100 energy. Surely they're going to have to shield right. I think with that logic, the opponent thinks I'm going to bait. I do bait and I instantly regret it. However, if the opponent calls the bait, I'm also going to call the bait. 2 Night Slashes do knock out, so we shield up the next move. The opponent full send the Shadow Ball, then send out Jellicent. We're sitting in a great spot here. Despite being down in protection, we fire off the Night Slash. We're then going to throw one wing attack, attempt to catch the Surf onto Gator unsuccessfully. But there should be plain sailing from here, as the opponent is going to be forced to start shielding up resisted Hydro Cannons. We throw 4 Shadow Claws and the Hydro Cannon for optimal fast move timing. Skeledirge are completely energy dry, so they kind of have to shield Jelly. What else are they going to do? I just throw this next one as soon as I get it. This is also going to force the Protect Shield. The opponent can overfarm as much as they like. We don't need to shield this. Gliscor has a Night Slash bank. We win CMP. I've actually got all the energy in the world. This first Night Slash knocks out Jellicent. When Skeledirge does return, we're going to go for the safe play of 1 and throw in. Night Slash would knock out. We make sure with an extra wing attack and we take that game. Heading into the final battle of today's showcase, we see Annihilape in the lead. Evidently, they mustn't have Ice Punch as they instantly pivot into Cresselia. This is where I want to see it, so I'm just going to stay in. We can align Gator into Annihilape later, which is a pretty favourable matchup for Alligator. You know the drill. We're going to spam out Night Slash after Night Slash with my fishing line out, fishing for that boost. This time, we're not getting any boost. But regardless, we are going to be able to get Cresselia super low, despite them having a monstrous stat product compared to us. The next Night Slash gets the opponent into the red. The opponent is going to need to be on Future Sight to knock us out here. They do actually full send the Future Sight. However, that's just free farm for Gator. The opponent actually don't want to get farmed down. Send out Annihilape, which is a pretty questionable play for Alligator. Looking menacing, fires off the first Hydro Cannon, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. We go straight for the next Hydro Cannon. This Hydro Cannon goes unshielded. We're going to pivot into Seaking, using it as the damage sponge. The opponent actually goes to the Night Slash bait. They actually get the boost, but it doesn't matter. We Poison Jab farm down. Out comes for Alligator. We're up shields, we're just going to go for the Drill Run, as I think Icy Wind in here would be a bit silly. Drill Run goes unshielded, the Poison Jab's getting the opponent incredibly low. I do have 2 Protect Shields, so I may as well burn one here. The opponent is so low that we're going to be annoying and go for that Horny debuff. The opponent kind of forced to shield, as Cresselia has even less HP in this Gator. The opponent is going to opt to throw. Seaking, thank you very much for your contribution. Gator will carry us home from here. We send out Gator and the opponent concedes the match. So those were the battles with my triple legacy Seaking in the Open Ultra League. It was actually alright, to be honest. Not fantastic, somewhat underwhelming. But it was a cool, fun spice pick that you can see does have some play in this current Ultra League meta. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching. And I'll see you all in the next one.